You were never meant to be alone. True success isn't just about what you can build, but it's about what you can build with the right support. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. Welcome back to my 100-day walk to consistency. This is day number 87. I'm glad that you're here. I thought this would be a great example of talking today about how we build a team around us, and we're talking about delegating today. How can you put the right team together, the right support to get you success? Remember, every day that you show up, you are building a better version of yourself, a more self-confident version of yourself, a more consistent version of yourself. Thank you for being here. Let's go ahead and get started. I'll see you on the walk. Yesterday, we focused on taking your success to the next level. And you've heard me say probably several times, if you want to go somewhere, yeah, go by yourself. But if you want to go far and you want to go long and you want to stay successful, you want to go with other people. And often we are very much proud of the fact that we pulled ourselves up, we dug ourselves out, we persevered by ourselves. And that is a real success story. And there is virtue to being able to be a self-starter, self-motivator, someone who does what they need to do to get success going and to maintain. But there's also benefit in having people around us. One of the things that we are very bad at, and I have to say that I am bad at that as well, is knowing when there are things that other people can do. Because after all, nobody does it like I can. I'm like the best person to do it. And I know how to do it. I know how I like it. I know how it's going to be. And if it gets done, if it doesn't get done, I don't have anybody to blame. So there's often that time, or those times, when I will just dig in and get it done. As a matter of fact, there's a project coming up right now that I've had to tell myself, wait a minute, I'm sure you can try to do it all by yourself, but you sure need some help. And that is one of those places, one of those times when we've got to make sure that we are not setting ourselves up for failure. That is, how do we create a team around us that is poised to push us, to carry us, and to support us as we are moving in the direction of being successful. And that's what we're going to spend some time talking about today, because even after you've learned the principles, the keystone principles, and this is actually another keystone principle, after you've learned all of the ones that we've talked about, what good is it if you are not able to take it to the next level? What good is it if it's not sustainable? What good is it if you've put it together, but it's very fragile because you've not incorporated the right support? Yeah? I know. And you're sitting there right now thinking just like I've thought before. Like I said, I'm the perfect person to do it. If I could duplicate myself, then that would be perfect, because then I have somebody just like me. But here's the thing. The things that you're good at are great, but there's someone else who's better at some other stuff. And we can leverage their resources, leverage their skills to be able to do what we need so that we can continue building a process, building a support system that takes us where we want to go. So today we're diving into how to delegate, how to build a team around you, and how to share the effort so that you have the best possibility of success. Right? That's what we're talking about today. I want you to, as we go through the next several episodes, I really want you to dig in, because we've been working now. We are on day number 87. We've been working, we've been pushing, we've been growing, we've been expanding. And I want you to begin now starting to think about all the principles that we've learned and how to really incorporate those into your daily activity. They are not just things that you're going to check off the box, but these are things that we really want to incorporate into our daily lives and begin not just saying these are things that we've learned or things that we know, but we want them to begin becoming a part of who we really are. You know, a couple of episodes ago, we talked about a little bit about the person that you are developing into. Remember that idea that consistency is a bedrock of what we are, about what we're doing, but it is a change in our mindset and a change in the person that we are. So we are building a person who is supported and who's guided by this keystone principles. That's the person that we are. So let's go ahead and make sure that we're starting to put these into practice and they're becoming a real part of who we are. So let's talk about, so we're talking about how to take your success to the next level, and talking about how we delegate, right? How do we delegate? So why is delegation and teamwork more important than ever? Why is that more important than ever? Well, number one, just kind of not even jumping into the part of the conversation I want to have, but it's important because we've become so segmented, so disconnected, disjointed. We've become separate. We have become polarized. I remember when I was a kid, I went to PS 256, by the way. Shout out. Benjamin Banneker is the name of the school. And I remember when I was a kid that there were, other kids that were there that I may have had a problem with, and we fought. Yes, we did. I did. And as a matter of fact, I still have a scar over one of these eyes, right? Over here, where a friend of mine, by the way, and we were arguing about something, and he pushed me into a vending machine, one of those, I think it was a Coke machine, and hit my head against the edge of it and got a little cut, which is still there. And that was, how old was I? Oh, let's see, I was 8 years old. And after that happened, you know what we did? Yeah, we went outside and we played handball. That's right. We had a fight, we went outside, we played handball. And one of the things that we have lost is the ability to disagree. And when I say disagree, I'm talking about disagree vehemently. Like disagree with just the very thought and words that we use, and still be cordial and still be friends. Hey, we're not gonna all have the same idea, have the same opinions, but one of the fundamental reasons why it's important to work together and to delegate and to learn how to work as a team is because we're already very segregated. We're already very isolated from each other. Even in the community that we're in, that you're in also, we've moved apart from each other. And when I say moved apart, I'm talking figuratively and literally. So there are my family members, a lot of my main family members, my family of origin, I'm in Alabama, they're in New York. I have family members in California. I have family members in other countries. And so the globe is becoming smaller in terms of our ability to travel, but because it's becoming smaller, it's causing lots of fragmentation in our families. And so we're already disconnected. So one of the main reasons for working as a team is so we can have connection. Yeah, so we can have connection. That's huge. One of the main reasons that people buffer. And buffering, that's a behavior that takes us, that basically helps us deal with whether it's an emotional, physical, psychological, whatever issue that we're having. And the buffering is is the thing that we use. So we buffer with food, we buffer with drugs, alcohol, becoming hypersexual, we buffer with gambling, some people buffer with going to the gym. Yeah. So they're not dealing with the issue, they are just using something else to get around it. So that's one reason why it's very important. The other is that you can't scale without a team. Like I said, I wish I had another person like me. I wish I had a clone. And that would be great, but there is no clone. And in order for us to move into the space where the things that we're doing, because there are some things that you're doing and you're successful at it, you've learned some things, you have a great idea, you have a great platform, you have a great, remember we talked about creating systems, you have a great system, but it's only you. And if you are going to scale and be successful, it can't just be you. You have to have some team around you that can duplicate the system that you've just created. All right? So very, very great reason that that we need to have a team together around us, and that we can work. You can only do so much. There are only so many hours in the day, and without a team, yeah, after a while it becomes diminishing returns, right? There's the for those of you who are in science, there's the Starling principle, and the Starling principle says that you push and you push, and things expand. As you give more effort, then you get better results. But at some point, right at the top of that curve, you keep pushing, 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 and after a while, it's kind of like a roller coaster, right? So you're going up the roller coaster, and you're pushing and pushing, and the more you push, the higher it goes. But at some point, you get to the top, and when you get to the top, you can push more, and the more you push, the lower it goes. And that's what Starling principle says, that we have lots of things that we can do, but after a while, the energy that we're putting in, if we don't have a team around us, then it becomes diminishing returns. And so we don't want that. We want to be able to make sure that we can move further and higher, right? That next level that you're going to go to, yeah, that next level a lot of times requires a team. So trying to do everything by yourself, it's noble, but it's very limiting. And we're talking about limitless as opposed to limiting, right? So we don't want to be in the space where we are causing diminishing returns. We want to continue moving so that we are doing all the things that we need to do to be successful, okay? All right, the other reason is delegation and teamwork are not signs of weakness. Oh, yeah, you hear that? It's not a sign of weakness. We think that if we ask other people to be part of our group, part of our team, if we ask people for support, then that shows that that seems like a sign of weakness. And it is not a sign of weakness, it's actually a sign of strength. Because there are things, let me see how to say this. The ability that you have to problem solve and to think on a big level is great. You should not be spending your time doing the things that other people can do, because that frees you up to be able to tackle and to think and expand and to be creative. Does that make sense? In other words, your time is best spent doing other things. So at my office, and someone actually was talking to us today, and he was telling us that there's a group, or he was talking to someone, and they were talking about a particular group of people, and he said, yeah, and the reason for success in that group is that they have realized that there is benefit, there's virtue in allowing people who are skilled in a particular area to be skilled in the area and do what they do. So in my office, right, there are several things. As a matter of fact, most of the things that people do in my office, I taught them, either me or my wife. We taught them what to do. We taught them how to do it. We taught them the procedure. But after a while, it doesn't make sense for me to do that anymore. Like, it doesn't make sense for me to check a patient in the office, because that's not a good use of my time and a good use of my talent. It doesn't make sense for me to take a blood pressure. That's why I have a staff, team members who do that. So as you are working through that space, wherever you are, there are things you can do, but it doesn't make sense for you to do those anymore. It's a great start, but now let's move on and let's expand, let's grow, and let's keep going. So the key thought here is letting go of control creates a space for growth. When you allow, when you delegate and you give control to other people, it allows you to grow. As I said, it allows you to expand your reach, expand your mind, expand the things that you are doing, expand the things that you can be involved in, and that is amazing. So what are some, I'm going, making sure I don't get these folks in the shot here. There we go. So what are a couple of sides of delegation? So delegation, there are positives and there are negatives. You have to know, for example, what to delegate. This is why the Eisenhower matrix is so important, because there's this concept of the things that are urgent and important are things that you probably need to do yourself. Urgent, important things, yeah, I got to do these. Or some of my senior people will do these. There's non-urgent, non-important that comes off the list. There is urgent but not important that we can put lower on the list. And then there is important but not urgent. And these are some things I can delegate, right? So you have to know how to segregate the things that you have to do and how to delegate them. So not every task needs your fingerprint. So start identifying what other people can do. And one way to do that, as I just mentioned, is the Eisenhower matrix. So you want to ask yourself, what tasks drain my energy without adding value? What are some things that drain my energy without adding value? And so when you come up with that list, right, the important but not urgent things, or urgent not important things, you're not necessarily looking for things that, yeah, I'm gonna have to be careful with this part, right? So there are some things that are important. There are some things that are urgent that still are not your thing. They're not your talent. They're not in your wheel. They aren't the things that excite you. And when you are starting, perhaps those are things that you spend time doing because they've got to get done. Because you don't have a team, you don't have the resources, you don't have the finances, you don't have the space, you don't have the whatever it is. But when you are able to, then those are things that now I can get someone else to do because they drain me. That's not where I have my creativity. They sap my energy. Whatever the reason is, those aren't the things I need to be doing. And those are things that I need to get someone else to do. What responsibilities could I teach someone else to handle? One of the things I love, and I mentioned that I have a team of young folks that we're training at our church. The reason I love training them is because at some point, I'm not going to be there anymore. And often, when we do something, I want you to pay attention to this part. When we do something and we've been successful at it, we get so tied into it being ours that we don't think or we don't plan for it to continue. That legacy, it's great, but if it only works when you're there, what's the point? And so you want to make sure that you are training people behind you. But what are the things that I don't have to do? What are the things I could train somebody else to do and I can take that off of my plate, okay? So in health, have your spouse or partner help prepare the meals. Now that's a whole conversation, right? Yeah. Because they have to, of course, buy into that, right? So if they're preparing the meals, you might have to do something else. So at work, delegate repetitive tasks to an assistant. There are things, like I actually have a scribe that goes into the room with me. And there are things I can do. Yeah. But she's fast, she's quick. I'll say something and boom, this is done. And so there are things that I train her to do that are repetitive over and over and over and over. And that's not me. You guys know I'm not the trees, I'm not the leaves on the tree person. I'm the fact that, okay, we got a tree. Like, I don't care how many branches or roots or limbs or leaves there are. That's not me. Okay, so surround yourself, and here's a point to be made right here. One of the points I make to my medical students who are rotating through us with us, and our university students, is that sometimes we become so caught up in self. And when I say caught up, I mean sometimes it's not even a thought process. It just defaults that way. Like, I love the fact that people on my team do things better than me. There's stuff that I frankly don't want to do. So I surround myself with people who do things better than I can. If I'm the smartest person in the room, if I'm the most competent person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. I need to find a different room. And if that's you, if you're the best person at everything in the room, you're in the wrong room, because there's no place to grow there, right? Because you're tied up into every single aspect of that room, and that's not where you want to be. So what are some things you could teach other people to do? So that's number one. Well, not number one, but the other thing is delegating. You want to multiply your impact. So number one, delegating tasks that don't require you. These are two sides of it. And the other one is delegating things to multiply your impact. Sometimes delegation doesn't necessarily, it's not about listening to your, lightening your load. It's about expanding your influence. So maybe you still do all the stuff. You got that? Maybe you're still doing all the stuff at this location. But who does it at your location in California, and New York, and Florida, and Chicago, and in the Carolinas, and in the Midwest? So you're still doing all the stuff at this location. But if you're going to expand, and notice I'm talking about major expansion, but if you're going to expand, you got to be able to say, okay, who can I teach to do what I do? Who could I train that I can't duplicate myself, but as much as I can duplicate the process. And if I can duplicate that process well enough, then I could pass it on to other people, and then they can do it, right? That's why it's very important to have those training manuals, those procedures. So letting other people teach what you've taught them. For example, I am so excited about what I do that I would love to begin teaching other physicians, other people in healthcare, the things that I do. So we're working on how do I, the information is amazing. How do I get other people now to begin teaching that and training patients and dealing with patients in the same way? So that's expansion. Now I've got to trust that my process, my system is good enough that I can hand it to somebody else and they could run with it. Which means that you've got to be very good at what you're doing in terms of putting the rhythm alignment, the structure, putting that structure together. That means you have to have worked at it. That means you have improved it. That means you've refined it, right? Empowering team members to lead projects, and to support other people in the community is what we want. So it's not just about you, it's about what the legacy is and how it improves the community. We talk about giving back. You're working on your health. There are some things that you are doing right now that take up your time, and I'm going up a hill. You guys see me slow down a little bit. There are some things that you're doing right now that you shouldn't be doing that are taking up your time so that you can't exercise. So what are you going to do? If we're working to improve ourselves, then we've got to look at our schedule. There's some things on your schedule that shouldn't be there. And we'll talk again about not delegating, but about prioritizing and all those types of things. So what are you going to do? It has to happen. So the key thought here is when you delegate with trust. There's some cars going by. When you delegate with trust and clarity, your reach can grow and it can be exponential. So you got to trust the people, which means that you have developed a team. You've built around you that team of support. Your system is good. Your system is sound. So you pass it off, and they basically are following the system, and the system is leading them in that way. Isn't that beautiful? That's why systems are so important. That's why they're so good. That's why we've got to evaluate, refine, adapt, attach, whatever we need to do to keep learning and keep growing, to make sure that we can then expand our reach. So how do we prevent from becoming burnt out when we are delegating? Because we can delegate and we can still be in a space where we are not doing what we need to do. How do we prevent that? Well, one, we've got to understand that we can only do so much. What you're doing is important, but you got to let other people do what they do. Let them do what they do best. Because you can micromanage even though you've delegated. And so what happens, you have a store, and I keep using a store, but you got a store here in Alabama, and you're doing everything. And you've opened up a store in New York, and you're doing everything in Alabama, but you spend so much time micromanaging the stuff in New York that you end up actually doing two sets of things. Because you've duplicated the process, but you've not allowed other people to run the other one because you may not trust. So number one, you've got to understand that there's only so much you can do. Number two, you got to trust. You got to build trust. You got to develop trust. Nobody's going to do it just like you do it. But if your system is sound, then you've created a process that works. It's kind of like if I go to a KFC here in Alabama, and I go to a KFC in New York, or I go to a KFC in Florida or Georgia or Carolinas, or I go to KFC in Oregon, the food is the same because there's a system. If I go to Chick-fil-A, the food is the same. The service is the same, right? There are always lines around the building. That's because the system is sound and because there is trust in the people that we've brought on, which once again now means that you have to have a system for getting the people into the process so that you are, the trust that you have is is well placed, right? This is not just random people that you're taking, that you're putting in that space. So how do we build a strong support team? How do we build a strong support team? Number one, you want to make sure that you have an accountability partner, right? We said that. So every successful team, every successful person requires a team. And we've talked about, creating a team before, but here's what you need. An accountability partner. Somebody who's going to look at you critically, somebody who's going to hold your foot to the fire, somebody going to push you and help you reach the things you say you want. You want to have a mentor or a coach, accountability partner. You want to have a mentor or coach. You want to have a peer or friend, someone that you may not necessarily have the expertise, but that they are either walking with you in the process, or they're just somebody you get to talk to, because you're gonna need somebody to shoot the breeze to talk to. And you want a professional trainer, a nutritionist, a therapist, a business consultant, somebody that is helping you to move to success. And this is actually a great episode for me, because recently we've been talking to some folks about working with us in becoming more successful. So you want to make sure that you're putting that team together. And then you want to communicate. So identify roles you need, right? Number one. Number two, you want to communicate expectations clearly. So when you're talking to people, right, clarity is kind. Clarity is kindness. When people know what you need, they can support you. One of the issues I've had in the past is I've hired people and I've said to them, I need to do some stuff. I kind of gave them the vision, but did not say what I needed from them specifically. And so those relationships didn't go well, because there was not a clear expectations, a clear direction, a clear whatever it was. And so they did some stuff, and I got some stuff, but it really wasn't what I intended or what I wanted. So you got to make sure that you are clear. Be specific about what you need. Set time frames to follow up with them. Keep it reciprocal. So as you are talking with them and they're talking with you, make sure that you are a good team member yourself. It's not a do as I say, not as I do. All right? So you want to make sure that is very clear in your mind. And then be open to letting go. So when you find somebody who has the capacity, somebody who has the skills, somebody who's already doing a good job, and you trust them, let go. Let them take the reins. Because I'm going to tell you, here's the thing. They may end up doing things better than you would. Often that is the case. Because you're so involved with so many other things, and that's all they do. They develop competence. They develop expertise. We talked about mastery yesterday. And so make sure that you are, or yesterday or the day before, one of those days, right? Make sure that you are giving them the power to do that. So delegation isn't just about help, it's about humility. It's about you agreeing and saying, okay, I can't do everything. And so I do need help if I'm going to achieve what I want to achieve. Remember, limitless living says I'm not allowing anything, ego, other people. I keep saying anything outside of myself. And I guess let me just add in there. So I'm not letting anything outside of myself or any person to prevent me from doing what I need to do. And I'm not even allowing myself to get in my way. All right. Great conversation, right? All right. So let's go ahead and let's hop over. And I want us to talk about want us to talk about how about our challenge, right? So what are we going to do? Get your journal out, and we're going to start writing. All right. So building and strengthening your support team. Number one, you want to write down one task you can delegate starting this week. What's one thing you can do? You can move away from your plate starting this week. What's something on your plate that could be handled by someone else or with someone else's help? Number one. Number two, list 2 to 3 people that you could lean on for support or accountability. Who are your people? What's your group? Who in your circle can encourage or assist you? Think, 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 think. Write them down. And then you want to reach out to those people. You want to explain to them what you're doing. Let them know what it is that you're working on your growth and you need their help. And set one goal to expand your team. Whether it's reaching out to a coach, joining a group, or partnering with someone, what's your next step that you need to do to move to the next level so that you're not going it alone? Beautiful, beautiful. We're building a team. We're building a better version of ourselves. And if we're going to be continually successful, just as we talked about longevity, how do we pass it on, and how do we go to the next level? This is it. We have to have around us a support team. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. I'm excited that you are here, that you joined me for another episode of my 100-Day Walk to Consistency in Health. Remember, every time you show up, every time you're here, every time you say yes, every time you push through, you are adding to that support for that coach that says, I am taking what I need to do, or I'm doing what I need to do for myself. I'm not allowing life to happen. I'm taking charge, and I am going to the next level. You don't have to be the hero. You don't have to be the person who does everything, that addresses everything. You just have to be willing to build a team. When you lean on and delegate, you're with people around you. You're surrounding yourself with people who are valuable. You are building. You're speaking into their lives, and they are also helping you with yours. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level, creating the life we've always wanted. And in this year, Limitless Living says we're not allowing anything from outside or from inside to stop us from doing what we need to do to be successful. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you tomorrow on day number 88. I'll see you on the walk.